Hi everyone, Sane Man here. This video is brought to you by a donation from David, and here's what he has to say. Hey Sandman, anyways, after contemplating and hesitating, I finally decided to quit acting like a high school girl, deciding which shoes to wear to the prom night, and go full MGTOW. I'm an 18-year-old college student who's fed up with the barren wasteland known as dating. Growing up, girls always attack me for no apparent reason. I've heard that apparently I look like a pedophile, or that I'm not actually that good looking, and other insults from girls all the way back to middle school. After not only these constant put-downs from girls, but constant rejections, I then decided it wasn't worth my time trying to find a worthwhile female. I've told female friends that I don't plan on getting married or having kids because of my abysmal past with women, and as usual, I met with the usual, not all women are like that, or you just haven't found the right one yet. I've even had one female get mad at me because I didn't actually want to have a relationship with her, and after explaining why, she flips out and repeats over and over again, "I'm not like any of them, I won't hurt you." Fast forward to now and I actually have no desire to date women at all. I see my male friends in relationships and living with their girlfriends in college, the best 4 years of your life, and I've completely focused on myself. I play football, wrestle, and kickbox as well. As an athlete on the rise and considering my track record with bitchy women, I know it takes only one salty woman who's angry that I dare not settle down with her to falsely accuse me of rape and kill my career before it even starts. Could you do a video for fellow athletes like myself and bitchy women trying to ruin their careers? Thanks in advance. Well, David, thanks for your donation as well as your topic request. A little bit later I'm going to discuss women chasing athletic men and trying to ruin their careers, but first I want to talk about the general rejection when men tell women no. That's a word that women expect men to respect when they say it, but when a man says no to them, far too often the woman keeps coming after you and refuses to take no for an answer. It's a terrible double standard. As for male athletes, think about peacock feathers. A man's muscles are like peacock feathers, and when a woman sees him perform on the sports field with those feathers, it's a mating display ritual that she can't resist. You've learned the secret that it's not worth it basically finding a so-called worthwhile female. It's much easier if they actually come to you. But that's the thing, I've never actually been approached by a worthwhile woman, only the damaged and crazy variety. The secret is you don't go looking for them, and they basically seek you out. You found that out with the woman that was interested in you and your friend, and you told her that you weren't interested as well, most likely because you weren't attracted to her. But her fragile little ego probably couldn't deal with that fact, so instead she started shaming you and indirectly saying that you're afraid to be hurt or that she's different than all the other women. Ironically, focusing on yourself is just going to attract more female attention to you. The fact that there are women angry enough to destroy your athletics career because you won't date them is basically all about false allegations, and it's absolutely cringeworthy. If you were interested in a girl and she said that she wasn't interested in you, and then you threatened to rape her if she didn't actually sleep with you, she would call the police and they would haul you away in irons. But when a woman says to a man, "If you don't sleep with me, I'm going to file a false rape allegation and the police will haul you away and you'll get shamed in front of everyone," she's perfectly allowed to do that. Talk about the ultimate double standard yet again. David, you're smart enough to go your own way at the age of 18, but I would be concerned about your sex drive, which is going to cause you a lot of frustration. You need to understand that you're going to get frustrated from time to time, and if you let that frustration build up too much, it's going to get you at some point in the future into something extremely irrational like knocking up a cheerleader. In my first year of college, I turned down a couple of women because I was more interested in plowing my talents into film, photography, and video, as well as television jobs. Women will never understand when a guy wants to focus on themselves instead of on a woman. That's going to make you into a big challenge for them. College was the worst 4 years of my life. I had to figure out what I was going to do for a living after college, and the free ride was pretty much over. I had to deal with feminist professors and ideologues and also had to be inclusive and let the female students mooch off the hard work myself and the other male students did. David, I see things this way. If you do things right, then your 30s will probably be the best time of your life. That's what 3 men told me when I was in my 20s, and they were right about that because I found that a man peaks physically and mentally in the middle of that decade of his life. Also, when he's in his 30s, people take him more seriously. The majority of women interested in athletes don't really want to ruin their careers, they just see a young guy who's working hard and has a lot of potential to get ahead in life. They see the drive, ambition, and success on the field, and then they fantasize about him becoming a big athlete with lots of money coming his way. They see a man like that and they want to ride along on the coattails of his success. They will get bitchy and nasty when they get rejected, and sometimes want to take it out on the man that doesn't want them. Remember that for most women at that age, when they're in college, the odds of being rejected by any man before that are pretty low. If they're getting rejected at the age of 18 or 19, then that's going to cause some serious damage to their self-esteem, and it's going to make them moody and bitchy, and I think that's a good thing because it shows that no one actually has basically put them in their place before. Now I'd like to analyze a little bit more about your motivations for going your own way. With regards to the first half of your statements, it sounds like in the past you were rejected by many women. Maybe a trench coat that you were wearing got rid of women and their attraction because it made you look like a rapist or a pedophile. Maybe it was just a rumor or something else more subtle. Whatever it is, if a man gets rejected by the first 10 or 20 women he approaches in his life when he's young and in his early teens, it's going to leave emotional scars and basically a mark on him. Then if, like you, he becomes physically stronger in his later teens and suddenly female attention pours in, he's going to realize that they don't really like him for him and for who he is, but instead they like him for what he can do on the field and what he looks like. You're rejecting women now because they rejected you in the past. I did the same thing with many women in my late teens and early 20s. I would advise any man to get to the point in his life where he's the one rejecting the chicks both on and off the field. The last thing you want to do is become successful at a sport and marry the first hot woman that walks into the door while you're in your early 20s. That's what many guys do, and I've seen that in the hockey world up here in Canada. These guys should be focusing on their careers instead of women. Look at people like Novak Djokovic in the tennis world. He's now married, and in the last few years he's had all kinds of trouble staying on top, and he slipped the second spot in the world now. He even said that he had some relationship issues. He could have easily waited until he got into his mid-30s before becoming level-headed enough to find a half-decent wife. Instead, he gets married too young and he jeopardizes his career. I once asked a professional baseball general manager about sports wives and if they were an issue with the players on his team, and he said that it was a major issue and that no one was talking about it. And there's a good reason that no one talks about it, because if they did, then female sports fans probably wouldn't be buying jerseys and going to games and buying tickets, and even in some cases allowing their boyfriends to watch the games in the first place. Women behaving poorly in and around professional sports teams has basically been swept under the rug carefully and quietly so that the team doesn't actually have any issues on their bottom line. And as a male athlete, you're supposed to be focused on defeating your opponents on the sports field. You aren't supposed to be letting supposedly harmless women get you down. David, of course that female friend that was interested in you said that not all women are like that and there's a good one waiting for you. It's quite possible that she thinks that you're not an adequate enough slave for her, while at the same time she's thinking that there's some 300-pound pig-faced prom queen out there desperate for a man such as yourself. So they wouldn't want to deprive some sexy hoof beast woman of finding her stud. But the fat acceptance movement has destroyed that dream for many a mangina and male feminist. But that's a topic for another day. Professional athletes are the perfect target for bitchy women. Great earnings or earnings potential, too busy training to know anything about female nature, lots of testosterone coursing through their veins, making them highly attractive and sexual to women. The ironic thing is that getting into a long-term relationship also lowers a man's testosterone, so suddenly he's going to have to work a lot harder and possibly take steroids to keep his performance up on the field, all because he has to service some bitch first. Also, it's socially expected for rich male athletes to get married, because if they don't, then they don't have the ability to socialize with their male team buddies outside the game arena and locker room. They become cut off from the other guys. If you reject women, you reject the social life, and you also reject the life choices of your teammates, all because you know the deep dark secret about female nature. So when a male athlete rejects a woman, it's not a simple rejection because she has so many of her hopes and dreams riding on being with him. All male athletes dream of becoming successful at their sports, while many bitchy women dream about catching a man that's successful at sports as well. I think that's all I want to say about women and guys that are into sports. I just want to get back to the topic of men rejecting women. In a society where men are being stripped of legal power in marriages, have to beg women to go out on dates with them, and are basically lucky enough to find someone at all, the only real power we have is to reject women. Women know this and they hate this, and that's why they actually hate it when men go their own way. They hate men enough to create false rape allegations so that you, Michael, don't actually go your own way to begin with. The last thing they want is a successful man rejecting them or women in general, because if you take one of the top 10% of men off the menu, that's like taking 9 below average males off the table as well. That now leaves them only one desirable man out of 20 instead of 2 in 20 for women to choose from. The numbers game for women is getting worse and worse as men with options choose to instead get sugar babies or just play the field. So if you're one of the top 10% of dudes out there and you're listening to this now, then going your own way is certainly an option to look at seriously. Having options means you don't have to beg for female attention, and you'll probably notice how they just gravitate to you like a hypergamous flock of sheep. They want you and you know it, so do your own thing and bring out the broom when you're finished. You know they want you to settle down with them and get a commitment out of you, but you need to shoo them away like a flock of Canada geese. They shit all over the place and they contaminate your life, both the geese and the women. Michael, I believe the most interesting thing you pointed out was what lengths women will go to basically not have to deal with the pain of rejection. If you reject a woman that's not ever been rejected before, you will haunt her dreams until the day she dies. She'll always think back to you as the one that got away, the one that was too good for her. I rejected women in high school and they continued following me around and spying on me for many years. That's what happens. For a woman, the man that got away is a memorable, almost spiritual experience that baffles and makes them frustrated and drives them to extreme anger. How dare you reject my gaping hole when I'm just throwing myself at you? How dare you tell me I have no worth when I'm special and you're just a disposable male? They will say whatever it takes to shame you into a relationship and back you up into a corner. But instead, by rejecting them, you're actually backing their egos into a corner and pulling the trigger, and there's no one there to listen to her scream in horror. As a man, if you've never rejected a woman that was into you, then you actually haven't lived. That's when you see their true nature. Anyways, that's all I've got to say for today. Thanks again, David, for your donation as well as your topic request. Don't forget to check out the MGTOW mystery link and like this video. As for everyone else out there, please follow me on Twitter or like me on Facebook to get tomorrow's video today. Thanks for taking your daily dose of red pills. And remember, a red pill a day keeps the marriage penalty box away. So enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.